I went off to Afghanistan and for AFP originally, and then did my first year for AFP, and then wanted to go back to Afghanistan, and they didn't. Well, fair enough. I mean, really, I was supposed to be a London-based photographer. They didn't want to send me to Afghanistan all the time, so yeah, I resigned and went back as a freelancer and had various interesting times that year, and then. The end of 2007, I had started to work with a video camera and with audio, and like everybody else was looking at multimedia and what was happening. I had been trying to teach myself how to. I'd been trying to figure out if I could shoot video and if I could do audio and bring the whole lot together. And I mean, I guess everybody was saying we're going to have to do this if we want to stay working, but I was also just interested to see if I could, and so I went back to The Guardian again, because I like to annoy Roger. And I went back to the start of last year and said, you know, you should really give me a job. And this time the reason is because I can do video and I can do audio and I can take pictures and I'll write you a blog. It'd be great. In fact, I even suggested Twittering back when nobody knew what it was, but because nobody knew what it was, they turned that one down. But Roger did sort of champion me and got me in touch with other people in The Guardian, and they packed me off to Afghanistan last year again for this project, which somebody decided to call 6 months in Afghanistan, although I was going to be there for about 8, and I wanted to call it Fighting Season, which is much sexier and far more descriptive. But on the Guardian website, it's 6 months in Afghanistan. So what I want to do this evening, we're going to talk about multimedia. I'm going to show you different things. And what I thought I'd do first is just show you some photographs, just straight photographs. And this is really what I would have produced. God, yeah, this is what I would have done 3 years ago if I'd gone off to Afghanistan as a photographer, as a straight photographer. I would have, you know, worked hard, climbed mountains, and walked through scary forests, and I would have produced straightforward photographs.
And I would have shot. And I would have said, "Have you shot anything in colour?" Of course, for God's sake.
We did have to reach an arrangement last year where obviously The Guardian has spent a lot of money becoming a full-colour newspaper with fantastic print quality, and I do think that black and white serves for particularly conflict. So we did. Well, when I say we came to an arrangement, basically Roger told me that colour pictures would go in the paper, and I eventually got some concession that I could send black and white pictures for the website, which I think worked out really well, actually, mostly because I didn't get that much in the paper, but I got lots on the website. But I mean, like these photographs, I think are fairly strong. I mean, it's, you know, as a photographer, you know, to go away to a conflict zone and get something that represents what's going on, it can be tough at times, and lots of people will say that, you know, you should concentrate on what you do. So writers should write, photographers should take pictures, TV should get in everyone's way, and that's the way of the world. But as I said in the little blurb when I was asked to do this thing about multimedia, I do think that you know, we all know about convergence journalism, or, you know, multimedia, you know, being the way forward. And there are lots of people who are sort of saying, well, you know, if I'm a photographer, I have to be able to shoot video, or if I'm a writer, I have to have a camera so I can do a few snaps. And I don't think that's the way to look at it at all. I think that if you're a journalist, which I think I am first and foremost, to take photographs, that's what I learned to do, and that's what I love to do, really. And if I could just be a photographer and be left alone, then I probably would do that a lot of the time. But I found that in Afghanistan, when I was going off to these places, because I was going on my own, when I went out for AFP, I went on my own, so I didn't have a journalist or a scribbler with me. And very quickly, I came to the conclusion that I was seeing things that nobody else was seeing, and I thought that, you know, I should be telling people as much of what I was seeing as possible. And I am a great believer in photography. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and, you know, we all remember incidents in our life, and we generally remember them in stills, maybe not in black and white, but I think the power of the still images is really strong. But I also think that, you know, using other things, using the moving image and using audio is it gives you a different way to tell stories. It gives you a way to tell stories that you couldn't just tell in a photograph. This is a thing I did last year, and this was with Medevac, and it was just flying around basically lived with them for a while, and you know the concept of embedding. So they go out to pick up wounded soldiers day and night, and it's one of the. It's actually in colour as well, unusual. But it's to see these pictures on their own, you get the idea of what's going on. But actually, the madness in the back of a helicopter when this is 2 American guys that have been wounded, and it's an American helicopter it's picking up. The madness and chaos in the back of the helicopter is, you know, it's crazy. It's absolutely, the emotion is so high, everybody's so amped up, and so to make to really tell the story. I mean, I wrote about this, I did audio slideshows about this, and I made a film about it. I'm not going to go through all of them tonight because we don't have that much time, but there's stuff on the Guardian website. But photographically, I think it tells a story, but it is possible to use other tools we have to tell these stories. Even like there seems to be this myth, and you know, a lot of photographers seem to delude themselves that, oh, you know, I just want to shoot stories. I just want to go and shoot stories. And I was at Perpignan a couple of years ago, and I was freelancing, so I was wandering around to various previous employers and started going to AFP's stand and sticking my nose into Getty's stand, and all the picture editors there were saying the same thing. They had kids coming up to them with their books and saying, yeah, I want to be a photographer, and here's the story, you know, I went to Africa, I did the story, and there's like, you know, 40 pictures in it, and there's nowhere that will publish it, and I'm not really sure there ever was many places that would.
No, there never was, I think.
So I'm a big fan of the audio slideshows, first of all because it allows me just to tell a story in pictures.
How's your head feel? Whoa! How's your head feel? You can have one if you want it.
She said give me the box, just box.
Just the box?
Yeah.
You don't want the animals and you like cats? Look, watch. She's mentally retarded.
Mama.
She usually comes out here and hangs out by the camp. We call her the Oracle. Her father abuses her, as you could probably tell by some of the scars on her face. Her dad hit her up pretty hard one day and split the back of her head pretty deep. Doc Beecroft wound up having to put a bunch of staples in her head. She came back a couple days later and we wound up pulling the staples out. I like her, you know, for some reason. I gave her a pair of shoes at one point when we were taking the staples out of her head. I bought her out a little pair of shoes that we had from some humanitarian assistance shoes. And I bought them out and gave them to her, and she loved them. She said she was going to go out and fly with them and everything.